So I think this is the road glide I'm gonna be riding first. So let's see. Like that go. 117. Where the bag rests. That's it, y'all. Brand new road. Oh, I'm ready.
What's up, everybody? This is the Fairweather Rider. For my first test ride, I am on the 2025 Harley-Davidson Road Glide. The color for this bike is Iron Horse Metallic, and if you want this color, it will cost you an additional $850. I'll give you a walk around at the end of this ride just so you can see why I think the $850 payment is worth it. But for now, let me tell you a little bit about this bike. This one has the 117 Milwaukee 8. According to the salesperson and what I found on the website, this bike produces about 130 plus foot-pounds of torque and about 105 horsepower. It comes with a 6-gallon tank, and you get about 44 miles per gallon. So that means you're talking about somewhere north of 260 miles per tank. So you can do some serious touring with that. The screen on this bike is 12.3 inches. And I have learned that there are 3 preset displays that you can use on the screen. The question that I have, and I'll probably ask the representative when I get back from this ride, is beyond those 3 pre-programmed displays, can you customize the display by adding and removing some things from the display that you would like to see when you ride? You've heard me say that there are a whole lot of buttons on this motorcycle, but once you get used to them, they'll probably become second nature to you. So real quickly, let's review some of the buttons on this motorcycle. So if you start on the left-hand side of the handlebar, there's a toggle switch at the back of the control panel, and you use that to control the headlamps. You hit that a couple times when you want to pass someone, and that kind of makes the headlight flash. If you look at the buttons on the top of the control, the one on the left-hand side is for cruise control. The button in the middle, you hit that when you want to set the cruise control, and then you can increase and decrease the speed by hitting the button that's farther away from you or closest to you to decrease the speed. The button next to that one is the traction control, but if you see that circle that's on the button also, if you hold that thing down for 10 seconds, it will put the bike into auxiliary mode. Once you start looking at the front of the control, there's a button on the front of control for the main menu. That's the button that's at the upper left corner. Hit that when you want to go to the main menu on the infotainment center. And that round pad in the middle on that left hand side, you use that when you want to go up, down, back, forward, and that button in the middle is to select. The button on the lower left hand corner, that's the back button. So if you hit to a screen and you want to go back to the previous screen or back to the previous selection, you hit that back button. And the button right below that, on one end you have the left turn signal, and then on the other end of the left turn signal you have the horn. Now real briefly, let's go to the right side. On the right hand, starting from what's closest to your hand moving inward, on the top you have the power switch, You hit that power switch once when you want to turn on the auxiliary power, and once everything comes to life, hit that button again and it will start the bike. You hit it all, pull it all the way to the forward, you push it all the way forward if you want to stop the bike. The one next to that one would be your hazards. That's your warning lights. So you flip that in and your hazards will start flashing. Similar, that pad that you see in the middle, that operates the radio. So if you want to increase the volume, decrease the volume, go back on the track, go forward on the track, and then that button in the middle is to play or pause. And I believe you can wiggle that button in the middle to do the same thing that you can do on the pads that are on the outside. The button there that's on the upper right hand corner, if your bike is equipped, you can use that to talk to the system. You know, you can give commands, or you may be used to talk to others that you may be linked to. When you move down to the bottom right hand corner, you have the right turn signal, and on the other opposite end of the right turn signal is where you would select the different modes, riding modes for the motorcycle. And that button that's right above the turn signal is voice recognition. I don't know what the voice recognition is used for. Now let me talk a little bit about the ride of this motorcycle. This is a great riding motorcycle. Now I will tell you that after getting off my Indian Pursuit, which is my only point of comparison when doing all of these test rides, my Indian Pursuit has a stage 2 kit. And so this bike, I can tell that there is a significant power difference, significance in power and torque when I get on this motorcycle. So in order for me to make this motorcycle, this specific motorcycle, this Road Glide, my own, there's a whole lot that I will have to do to it. Let's talk briefly about some of the things that I think I would have to do to this motorcycle to make it my own. The first thing I'm going to have to do is replace this seat. I don't know if all the other motorcycles that I'm going to ride is going to have a seat as bad as this one, but this seat is very hard. Maybe it requires some break-in time, I don't know. But I just know that right now, the seat on this motorcycle will not work for me. The second thing is the suspension. This road that we're riding, or this path that we're riding, is very smooth and it doesn't have a whole lot of bumps. But the very few bumps that I hit on this Road Glide, I can feel them in a way that I did not feel them, or I do not feel them on my Indian Pursuit. Are you telling me that I've been riding the whole time with that compartment open and did not see it? I'm going to come back and talk about that compartment a little bit later. But first, let me just ask, is it me, or does it seem like this red light is going on for an extremely long time? We need to get back to this ride, family, and we need to get back to this discussion about the things that I need to do if I were to buy this bike in order to make it uniquely mine, make it more comfortable for me. I've already told y'all that I think this color is a great color. And the one thing that I think that Harley-Davidson does better than any other motorcycle manufacturer is when it comes to the color scheme that they put on their bikes every year. If you are a true Harley-Davidson enthusiast, you can probably tell the year a bike was manufactured just based on the color scheme. And I don't think you can do that with any other motorcycle manufacturer. But family, I'm getting a little distracted. Let me get back to those 3 things that I said I would have to do in order to make this motorcycle more comfortable for me. The third thing that I would have to do to this bike is performance upgrades. As I've explained earlier, my only point of comparison when riding these motorcycles is my Indian Pursuit, and my Indian Pursuit has a stage 2 kit. So I can tell you, after doing performance upgrades on my Indian Pursuit, I'm no longer interested in buying a motorcycle where performance upgrades are necessary or even desired. The next motorcycle I purchase, I will not do any performance upgrades. I want something I can ride as it comes from the factory. I'm looking forward to riding those CVOs because I think those will be different, where I won't have to have any type performance upgrades done to the engine. Won't have to have anything done to the suspension. So I have to ask the question whether or not it would be worth purchasing this motorcycle, considering the 3 things that I would have to have done to the motorcycle to make it my own. And that's not including some of the other things that I would like to have done to the bike that I will probably have done to any bike, such as adding more lights so that the bike could be more visible at night, adding some exhaust. I mean, the bike sounds good the way it is, don't get me wrong, but there is a unique Harley sound that comes with all the different aftermarket exhausts that you can get for this bike, and so I probably would want to go and get some exhaust, aftermarket exhaust, to add to this bike. Real briefly, I said I would talk about the compartments, the one that was open for most of the ride. Again, I'm going to compare this one to my point of comparison, which is my Indian Pursuit. The Indian Pursuit, the compartments are slightly tilted downward so that things won't come out when you ride. But on this bike, I noticed that the drop off is a little steeper, the downward slope is a little steeper. So you know that if you put something in this bike and you put it in there correctly, even if that thing were to pop open during a ride, there's a small chance of it coming out. You would have to hit a pretty big bump for something to pop out of those compartments, even with the door open. This bike also comes with some good devices to control the wind flow. Down below the fairing, you can see those vents that I have open right now, where you can allow more wind to come through. It also has a opening at the top of the fairing where you can allow wind to come through, or you can close it to block it from coming in. This windscreen is a good height for me, so I really like that windscreen. I am not feeling wind on my chest other than from when I opened up the vents at the bottom. I'm not feeling wind on my helmet, which is a good thing. So this windscreen, I'm not sure if that comes standard on all road glides or just this specific type of road glide, but whatever it is, I like it. Despite the weight of this motorcycle, you can see why most people would prefer the Harley-Davidson road glide, street glides when it comes to those slow speed maneuvers, because you can tell that this bike is very easy to maneuver at slow speeds. I'm not going to test the sound system, or I'm not even going to speak on the sound system, because that's not something I'm really looking at. I am just going to assume that if I were to get this motorcycle with only the 2 speakers in the fairing, that at some point I would have to upgrade the sound system by adding 2 more speakers in the saddlebags and maybe upgrading the speakers in the fairing to that Rockford Fosgate system, stage 2 or 3. I will tell you this, as much as I enjoy riding this road glide, I would have to really consider whether or not it belongs on my short list of motorcycles that I intend to add to my stable next year. Mainly because of the 3 things that I said I would have to have done to it in order to make it uniquely mine. I'm really looking forward to riding the CVOs just to see whether or not I can knock some of those things off my list. But for this bike, I love the color. The ride is great, but just because of those 3 things I had to have done in order to make it mine, we're going to talk about whether or not this bike should be on my list or not. I'm going to give you guys one more walk around of the road glide before I sign out. But you know what it is. I am the Fairweather Rider, some call me Peabo. And I'm here riding Harley-Davidson's, family. Stay tuned. More is coming. This is it, family. Harley Davidson Road Glide, Iron Horse Metallic. Hopefully, the color is coming through and you see what I see. $850 is worth it, family. Fairweather Rider. I'll be back.